باسم آب و ولد مفس قدوس هذا وعمنا آمين. باسم آب و ولد مفس قدوس هذا وعمنا آمين. Name of the Father, name of the Son, name of the Holy Spirit, one God. Amen. Good morning and blessings and love, and I pray you're keeping well. So today's chapter is to Esdras 10, and it continues the story that we heard yesterday where Ezra meets a woman and she's crying, and she says that she's been barren for a long time, and she continued to pray to God. And eventually, after many, many years, decades, she eventually gives birth to a son. And Esdras is then curious as to why she's upset. So today we hear the continuation of that story. And she's upset because when the son eventually grew up and he got married, he ended up dying on his wedding day. So this is obviously why the mother is upset. Esdras tries to comfort her, but he's also quite sharp with her because he says, your loss is nothing compared to the loss of God's people. Jerusalem has been sacked, desecrated, and the people taken into exile, and the temple has been destroyed. And at this point, the woman's face transforms and she turns into a vision of a large city and a glorious city. So he's confused by this vision, and then he realizes it's a vision, and he goes to Uriel and says, what is this about? What is this vision about? And then Uriel says that the woman represents Zion, God's people, and the death of the son represents the sacking and the desecration of Jerusalem, but the transformation into a city represents that Jerusalem will rise again, the temple will be rebuilt, and God's nation shall be reformed on earth. So this is what the symbolism of that vision is. So it's very prophetic in that sense, very powerful vision, and it also represents Esdras' own journey from one of doubt and loss in exile to returning back to Jerusalem to rebuild the city, as we've already heard him do. So I will now get into reading to Esdras 10. Give thanks for these few words. So it came to pass that when my son was entered into his wedding chamber, he fell down and died. Then we all put out lamps, and all my neighbours rose up to comfort me. I remained quiet until the second day at night. It came to pass that when they had all stopped consoling me, encouraging me to be quiet, then I rose up by night and fled, and came here into this field, as you see. Now I don't intend to return to the city, but to stay here, and not eat or drink, but to continually mourn and fast until I die. Then I left the reflections I was engaged in, and answered her in anger. You most foolish woman, don't you see our mourning and what has happened to us? For Zion, the mother of all, is full of sorrow and much humbled. It is right now to mourn deeply, since we all mourn, and to be sorrowful, since we are all in sorrow. But you are in mourning for one son. Ask the earth, and she will tell you that it is she which ought to mourn for so many that grow upon her. For out of her all had their beginnings, and others will come. And behold, almost all of them walk into destruction, and the multitude of them is utterly doomed. Who then should mourn more? She who has lost so great a multitude, or you, who are grieved but for one? But if you say to me, my lamentation is not like the earth, for I have lost the fruit of my womb, which I brought forth with pains and bear with sorrows. But it is with the earth after the manner of the earth. The multitude present in it has gone as it came. Then say I to you, just as you have brought forth with sorrow, even so the earth also has given her fruit, namely people, ever since the beginning to him who made her. Now therefore keep your sorrow to yourself, and bear with good courage the adversities which have happened to you. For if you will acknowledge the decree of God to be just, you will both receive your son in time and be praised among women. Go your way then into the city to your husband. She said to me, I won't do that. I will not go into the city, but I will die here. So I proceeded to speak further to her and said, Don't do so, but allow yourself to be persuaded by reason of the adversities of Zion, and be comforted by reason of the sorrow of Jerusalem. For you see that our sanctuary have been laid waste, our altar broken down, and our temple destroyed. Our lute has been brought low, our song is put in pure silence, all rejoicing is at the end. The light of our candlestick is put out, the ark of our covenant is plundered, our holy things are defiled, and the name that we are called is profaned. Our free men are despitefully treated, our priests are burned, our Levites have gone into captivity, our virgins are defiled, and our wives ravished. Our righteous men carried away, our little ones betrayed, our young men are brought into bondage, and our strong men have become weak. What is more than all, the seal of Zion has now lost the seal of her honour, and is delivered into the hands of those who hate us. Therefore, shake off your great heaviness, and put away from yourself the multitude of sorrows, that the mighty one may be merciful to you again, and the Most High might give you rest, even ease from your troubles. It came to pass, while I was talking with her, behold, her face suddenly began to shine exceedingly, and her countenance glistened like lightning, so that I was very afraid of her, and wondered what this meant. Behold, suddenly she made a very great and fearful cry, so that the earth shook at the noise. I looked, and behold, and the woman appeared to me no more. There was a great city built, and a place shown itself from large foundations. Then I was afraid, and cried with a loud voice, Where is Uriel the angel, who came to me at first? For he has caused me to fall into this great trance, and my end has turned into corruption, and my prayer a reproach. As I was speaking these words, behold, the angel who had come to me at first came to me, and he looked at me. Behold, I lay as one who has been dead, and my understanding has taken from me. He took me by my right hand and comforted me, and set me on my feet, and said to me, What ails you? Why are you so troubled? Why is your understanding and the thoughts of your heart troubled? I said, Because you have forsaken me. Yet I did according to your words, and went into the field, and behold, I have seen, and still see, that which I am not able to explain. He said to me, Stand up like a man, and I will instruct you. Then I said, Speak on, my Lord, and only don't forsake me, lest I die before my time. For I have seen what I didn't know, and hear what I don't know. Or is my sense deceived, and my soul in a dream? Now therefore I beg you to explain to your servant what this vision means. He answered me and said, Listen to me, and I will inform you, and tell you all about the things you are afraid of, for the Most High has revealed many secret things to you. He has seen that your way is righteous, because you are continually sorry for your people, and made great lamentation for Zion. This therefore is the meaning of the vision. The woman who appeared to you a little while ago, who you saw mourning, and began to comfort her, but now you no longer see the likeness of the woman, but a city under construction appeared to you. And she told you of the death of her son. This is the interpretation. The woman who you saw is Zion, whom you now see as a city being built. She told you that she had been barren for 30 years, because there were 3,000 years in the world in which there was no offering as yet offered in her. And it came to pass after 3,000 years that Solomon built the city and offered offerings. It was then that the barren bore a son. She told you that she nourished him with great care. That was the dwelling in Jerusalem. When she said to you, My son died when he entered into his marriage chamber, and that misfortune befell her, this was the destruction that came to Jerusalem. Behold, you saw her likeness, how she mourned for her son, and you began to comfort her for what had happened to her. These were the things to be opened to you. For now the Most High, seeing that you are sincerely grieved and suffer from your whole heart for her, has shown you the brightness of her glory and the attractiveness of her beauty. Therefore I ask you to remain in the field where no house was built, for I knew that the Most High would show this to you. Therefore I command you to come into the field where no foundation or any building was. For no human construction can stand in the place in which the city of the Most High was to be shown. Therefore, don't be afraid, nor let your heart be terrified, but go your way in and see the beauty and greatness of the building as much as your eyes are able to see. Then you will hear as much as your ears may comprehend. For you are more blessed than many, and are called by the name to be with the Most High like only a few. But tomorrow at night you shall remain here, and so the Most High will show you the visions and dreams of what the Most High will do to those who live on the earth in the last days. So I slept that night and another as he commanded me. For these few words I give thanks, blessings and love. A very powerful, visionary chapter there. I do have to say, I'm sorry for saying this, the comfort that Ezra gave to the woman, you couldn't really call that a comfort. Maybe not in the modern age anyway. That's a very sharp, harsh, and comfort, if you could call that a comfort. And, you know, two sorrows can happen at the same time. They don't have to be in competition with each other. But, you know, I'm not taking that away. That's just me being subjective. But at the same time, the bigger picture of what this vision represents is extremely powerful, But I think it's okay to pick on these little details, because if we didn't, we would be, talked yesterday about the apologists. Do you know what I mean? It's like our natural common sense today is to say that if someone came to you and their son had died, you wouldn't necessarily say to them, oh, but, do you know what I mean? And talk about a nation. Because it's just, but that's the sensibility of today. And I think it would be wrong to gloss over those things, because actually our logic today says that we would probably treat that slightly differently. So I don't mean any disrespect at all in highlighting that, but I just think it's only right to flag up such things when some things like that are pretty obvious to a modern day ear, if that makes sense. Anyway, blessings and love. Have a blessed rest of the day. God willing, I'll be back with more tomorrow. Milk and Ken. Good day. Have a good day. And blessings and love. Yet a breath cure. Exabia Selazare Amasiganalu. Thank God for today.